You have to understand something. Whenever we take anything and place it above the word of God, as a minister, as whoever, we tend to start to veer into the realm of secularism. Before I get started, please like, subscribe, share this with your friends. This helps to get the content out and to make our voice known so we can be active in this culture, in the community, not just related to government, but to impact this culture and fulfill our mission to educate, motivate, and activate. Recently, Planned Parenthood announced new faith leaders on their clergy board. Think about that. Planned Parenthood, the #1 facilitator of abortions in our country, has faith leaders that are on its advocacy board. Now think about that. How could a faith leader, how could a leader in the faith community actually participate on a board of an organization that has the murder of innocent children as its priority, despite what the media says, despite what Planned Parenthood says? The #1 aim of the organization is to make abortions accessible. And speaking of abortions and accessibility, did you know that 40% of women who have abortions are black women? 40%. 40%. And how Planned Parenthood clinics are primarily located in low to income communities, communities of color. Coincidental? I don't see too many Planned Parenthood facilities here in the Ballantyne area of Charlotte. I don't see too many Planned Parenthood facilities in, let's say, Beverly Hills. There may be facilities there, but the majority of the facilities that Planned Parenthood has are actually found near and in low income and minority populated areas. But getting back to the point about these faith leaders being on their advocacy board, think about that. How can a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news of the gospel that brings life, the gospel that brings help, the gospel that brings liberty, how can a minister in their right mind be on the board of an organization that's #1 aim is the murder of innocent children? Well, I'll tell you why. Because whenever the word of God is not the final authority for anyone, then other things take the place, namely emotion or logic. Things such as secular theology. You know, secular theology is something that's huge. And what secular theology does, secular theology usurps the truth found in the gospel. It reimagines the gospel into an earthbound message instead of spiritual sanctification. Let me say it again. Secular theology usurps the truth found in the gospel. It reimagines the gospel into an earthbound message instead of spiritual sanctification. In other words, it takes situations found in life and transforms the gospel to fit those situations, instead of using the power of God to transform those situations and bring them into conformity with the word of God. And that's what's happened. Because the word of God cannot be a final authority if you're on the board of an organization that's #1 aim is to murder children. Simple as that. I'm sorry to put it so bluntly. The #1 aim is to murder children. You can't, in your right mind, call yourself a minister of the gospel and preach about life when you are actually advising an organization that seeks to take it. That does not make sense. That does not make sense. That's like saying you're on the advocacy board of the Crips, of the Bloods. That's like saying I'm on your advocacy board And I'm here to support you guys and give you advice on how to take life. Now, that may sound far-fetched and preposterous, but what's the difference? You know what the difference is? At least those people who are fighting against the Crips and the Bloods have a choice. These babies do not have a choice. They can't fight back. They cannot fight back. So as ministers, we must, as members of the faith community, as believers, we must stand up against this. We must return to the truth found in the gospel. We must return to the tenets of the gospel and stand on that. We must fight for life, especially for innocent life. And in the Black community, we must fight against this. We must fight against this. We must remove these facilities out of our communities. You know, instead of every time someone gets shot by the police, marching and protesting, how about we march and protest against Planned Parenthood, who's taking the lives of Black babies in the womb, okay? How about we march against them and protest against them and speak out against them? That's what we need to be protesting. Those are the people we need to be protesting. Those are the folks that need to be spoken out against. We must do that. It's just as important to fight for the life of someone who's shot in the street as it is for an unborn child. We have to. We have to. We can do it. We have the ability to do that. And I know we will. Because we're not victims. We are empowered for greatness.